being a team player and just trying to be efficient in the ways that you can be at the time. Everybody wants instant gratification. Everybody's so entitled to having what they want. And nobody's really used to just working for it and earning every single cent you make. At the same time, you have to swallow your pride and just know your worth and just grind. You have to grind. That first year is terrible. It's horrible. My first summer was horrible.
Yeah,
But
because
I never complained.
hola, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable HVACR podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed, like, comment. If you're listening to this over on the podcast, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever it is, it's a bit available on all platforms. Please leave us a 5-star review to help us get out to more people. I love doing this because it is good conversations with good people. Anybody is welcome. If you guys ever want to be a guest on this show, if you guys listen or watch any of my content, go ahead and message me. Come on, tell your story. That's what it's about. If there's any sponsors that want to reach out and support the show, go ahead and also reach out to me. My email's posted everywhere. ReliableHVACR956@gmail.com is how you can get a hold of me. Speaking of sponsors, today's episode is brought to you by my favorite CRM, Jobber. If you guys want to use a software that helps us boost our business, whether it's invoicing, quoting, scheduling, keeping track of your team, price lists, our maintenance plan is in there. Now they help you with marketing and running campaigns through emails, all that stuff. And you can talk to your customer through texting in the customer hub. They can request work. You never have to pick up the phone. They can actually request work online through text. You can tell them that you're on the way. All the stuff that you would expect from a professional CRM. If you guys want a free trial and discount, go to getjobber.com/reliable HVACR. Also, VETO Pro Pack, the best tool bags in the game. I know people tell me the first thing is always the price. Let me tell you, other brands that I used to get at the supply house never lasted me. So in that short amount of time, I was buying several of those bags when I could just buy one VETO Pro Pack tool bag. And if you want to go check them out, go to vetopropack.com. You can also get them at any supply house or place that you buy equipment. They usually have VETO Pro Pack, and they just came out with the MB3 Blackout, which I am super excited for because I actually had a hand in some major design in that bag, and I hope to continue to work with that. But I use the MB3 Blackout as my favorite. I also use the Wheelers. I use a lot of their tote bags. I even have something in my van that just holds bottles and miscellaneous things, and it's made by them too. They have a bag for every scenario, so you won't be disappointed. Go check out VETO Pro Pack. And if you go to their website, go to the customer profile. You'll find me in there. You can learn a little bit more about me, and you'll probably see a lot of these YouTubers and people on Instagram that you might watch in that section. And a big thanks to all the sponsors that make this show possible and moving forward. You'll hear more from Local HQ Marketing and DIVERSITECH throughout the show. And don't forget that I have another podcast / live stream every Thursday night, the HVAC Nights. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. It's me, Jake, and Curtis. You might know them already. And we just talk shop about our work week and life stuff. It gets crazy. It gets uncensored. It's a fun time. So come check us out live every Thursday on YouTube, and it's available on all podcast platforms later that week. If you ever want to keep up to date with anything that I use, whether it's tool recommendations, Camel City Mill socks have been really great for me, and the Huxley work pants. I have discounts for a lot of these things that I use. You can find them in my website, reliablehvacr.net. So like I said, tool link, recommendations, discounts. I got merch there. You can request stickers. I will have my arm sleeves up for sale soon, so make sure to keep an eye out there. And if you just remember to go to the website, you'll always keep up to date with everything. And really quick, I just want to invite you guys to our Discord. We made an HVAC Nights Discord server. You'll find it in the link below or on reliablehvacr.net, hvacnights.com. You can find it there. I'll leave a link. Everybody is welcome to join. I'm still learning it. If you guys know anything about Discord, help me out, help me learn, tell me what to add to it, and we can go from there. So stuff will be added as I figure it out. But like I said, you can talk about your hobbies, sports, shop talk, anything in the HVAC world that you want to discuss or ask a question on, specific troubleshooting or help with things. I want to add like manuals and little codes and tips and tricks and stuff like that. I want all of that in that community. So go check out our Discord, join it today, and let's get some conversations going. On today's episode, we have Christian, also known as CBHVAC49, over on TikTok. I think he said he was going to be over on Instagram as well. So I'll make sure to leave all his links and stuff down in the description so you guys can go check him out. He's another tool person, very tidy van and stuff like that. A lot of great work. So I really enjoy seeing the younger generation doing really, or taking pride in their work, right? So go check him out. Great content, great guy. Finally got back from his honeymoon so he could, take the time to sit down and talk. And, I appreciate that. Really cool story about him getting into the trades and kind of what he's done to make himself different and stand out. Being like the first person to deal with R32 in his area up in New Jersey, and they made a whole big deal about it, but I'll let him explain it. So without further ado, enjoy the episode.
An absolute pleasure to even be on this podcast, period. It's crazy because I've been watching your content since I even started HVAC, and all these other guys that I've been, talking to from social media and all that. It's just a mind-blowing experience. I never thought I'd be on your podcast. I've been watching it since you started it and your YouTube channel and everything. So it's crazy to see what you're doing, and I totally applaud the amount of work that you must put into this. It's wild, and balancing work and the social media on top of it's definitely hard. And once I got my foot in the door, I have so much respect for the guys creating content. It's crazy.
Yeah, I just tell people I don't know what sleep is anymore. That's just me. But
I don't know how you do it.
I've always had that issue, so it's not even like a new thing to me. It's like I always have to keep my mind busy. I don't know how to turn it off, and that's just I've had hobbies and things that keep me up, and now I just kind of focus all that energy into like the stuff here, the podcast and the channel and stuff.
Because at the end of the day, it is like a hobby for you. It's fun for you, and it's a hobby. Same with me. I love it.
Yeah, I just social media is crazy. I mean, you get to meet a lot of people. I just actually came back from a Denver trip, and
I saw you were out there.
Social media is the only reason I travel now. Honestly, I never got out of Texas at all. But I went out there for a jobber thing because you talk about social media, like all the guys. I'm in the room there, so I'm always like, how the hell do I end up in these situations, right? Because I'm in the room there. I'm from a small town in South Texas. Like there's not much out here. I get there and I'm in a room with guys that are like 100,000 followers, a couple 100,000 over here, 80,000, and then me. I'm like, I'm in this room too. Well, okay, cool. Like, let me just make the most out of it.
I don't think you understand how big of an impact you really make, because especially guys like me, younger guys starting out, like we're all watching you, all the other YouTube channels out there. It's great stuff. I love it. It's crazy. I'm kind of fangirling, to be honest. My HVAC geek I'm geeking out a little bit right now, but yeah, it's wild.
I just and I appreciate that, because the only, like, when I started, it was like, oh, I see all this crazy stuff out in the field on the rooftop, all the stuff that I see. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna post this stuff, and then I got more comfortable, and then people were like, oh, that helped me with this, that helped me with that. The messages are crazy, like, oh, motivation, inspired. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna keep doing this and kind of do a little bit more, and then here I am doing this and podcasting and doing all these other things.
I know you, and then with the HVAC nights and your YouTube channel, this channel, everything. I don't know how you do it. I definitely applaud you for it. It's wild.
And I told, because I got to meet up with Matt and Megan. Usually they pop in the chat for these things. mechanical environments. I got to hang out with them out in Denver because that's where they're at.
Mm,
And I told him I'll the whole HVAC night thing. Kurt is the one that I didn't know if he would be able to do that, and he does give
yeah.
us like a time. It's like okay, because they're Eastern time like you. And he's like at a certain time. He's like I got to go to bed, and he has all this like work that he always has lined up early in the morning. So he's always like honest about the time. But he's also the reason that we do that show weekly. Because I've told the guys we can take a week off, we can take some time off, and Kurt's like, "No, we got to do it." So he's the one that kind of gets us
Oh,
there
that's
every
funny.
week, and it's always fun.
Yeah, and cooling with Kraus. Is that how you pronounce it, Kraus?
Yeah, Kraus, good old Kraus.
Yeah, I like
Everybody,
his content too.
yeah,
It's more residential also, so I like watching the residential. He's a funny dude also. He's a character.
yeah, yeah, it's funny how that. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it, but like how that started. Uh, I didn't know I was gonna do a podcast with them. And really quickly before we get into you, because I don't like talking
Mm,
about me, but uh, the whole thing with Jake, like we were texting, calling like a lot before that even came to fruition. Uh, and then like all of a sudden, because we were like on the same page for so many things, I'm like, hey, I have this idea. Why don't we do like a show together? And I was like, I kind of want it to be three people. And he's like, hell yeah, and how he is and high energy.
yeah.
He's like, let's do this. And I was like, I got a person in mind for the third. And then, everybody loves Kurt. YouTube channel does
Yep.
amazing. I don't know how he does it, posting every day. And then he always has something interesting to do. But
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, let's ask him. And he was on board. So that came out of nowhere. We were just talking about like other things. And I'm like, hey, let's do a show. So that's been fun.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I got to keep them in check sometimes though, because they get off the rails.
Yeah. I noticed sometimes you're definitely the moderator.
That's my whole thing. I'm like, I'll kind of control it. I'll put it together. You guys, go about
Oh,
and
that's so
tell
funny.
us your stories and all that, and I'll just jump in every now and then. So, well,
Yeah. Oh, that's
like I
great.
said, I don't want to talk about myself. Congrats on the wedding. You recently got married, right?
Thank you very much. Yep, I
Well,
got married about 3 weeks ago now. So it
dang,
was a little hectic leading up to it, the planning and all that.
that's still
So
fresh.
yeah,
You got back from the
so now I could
honeymoon.
really focus. Yeah, I was in Jamaica.
Oh, how was
So
it?
that was fun. It was good. It was a lot of lounging, which I'm not really used to, but it was 5 days, so nice little break, a little reset, which is good for me. I don't really like taking vacations. I don't like doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like going to a resort. Like I've never been to a resort before. This is my first time, and lounging I don't do well with. Obviously, I don't do well with the sun either. So it was new for me, but it was great. It was relaxing. It was romantic. So no, I loved it. It's funny. I actually I had to have a tech come into my room while I was gone too for my mini split.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it's so hot there. It's so humid. And I don't know, maybe my tech mind while I'm there, it's like, oh, this is my mini split. So I'm going to like bump it up while I'm gone to
Uh,
70, thinking I don't really know why I cared, but I did. So then I bumped it up to 70. I left. I come back. All my walls are soaking wet. I got water draining down my wall. Just couldn't keep up with the humidity. Those units there, they got to keep them at like 60 degrees to just maintain dehumidifying. So
yeah.
it was just a wet mess when I got back. I'm like, I got to just leave it on 60 and forget about it. I don't know why I cared.
I know. It was like you're on vacation.
I know. Yeah.
So how was Jamaica? Did you guys get out and
Not
explore?
really. It was. I didn't realize this was kind of like their stormy season, so it was pretty
Oh,
windy and breezy the whole time. So a lot of things were canceled. And I live here. I'm right on the beach in the Jersey Shore, so I have full access to boats and fishing and seeing whales and dolphins as much as I want. So I mean, all the stuff that I could have done there, I could just do at home whenever I pleased to begin with. So I didn't really go crazy doing the activities.
yeah. I'm like an hour or so from the beach here, so I'm like, if I ever want to take a vacation, I go there. Right? They can do a lot
Yeah,
of it. But I get you because I am the same way. I feel very weird when I don't have work or even
yeah,
like even like during slow season. I hate it. Like if I get a half day or a day off here and there. I was like, what is there to do? Like I gotta
Yeah,
work.
I get anxious, and I feel like I feel like I need to earn that beer at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I don't like to just wake up and have a beer. I like to earn it.
I know.
So
I
it's just
like
I
I
feel weird. I feel out of place. I feel uncomfortable when I'm on vacation.
Okay, that's exactly how I am. Cause like, well, I've gotten used to it a little more now because we have kids. So like, we want the kids to,
Hmm.
take
Yeah,
vacations with
exactly.
us and spend some time. But I try to have like a little on and off switch. But like,
Hmm.
I guess it bothers me more when I'm here like by myself. Like I said, if it slows down or anything like that, and or we get these days that I don't have work, which happens, in the winter here because it doesn't get super cold. We don't have no heat, no heat. I'm sure you guys have a lot of different
Yep.
scenarios up there, but um, I'm like, man, because I work for myself, and I'm like, man, I still get my check because I get paid weekly. Technically my dad's the owner, right? So I get a
Hmm.
paycheck every week, and I'm like, man, I'm not earning my paycheck here, like just sitting around. But I try to
Yeah.
find something to do, right? I'll figure out something or
Yeah.
catch up on paperwork, whatever it is. But
Yep.
I don't take days off either. It's weird.
Yeah. I don't like to. I love doing what I do. After the summer, I usually maybe I'll do a 4-day weekend after the crazy summer. I'll do a
Oh
4-day
man.
weekend and just chill out. But that's the most I'll do.
This podcast is presented by Local. Local works tirelessly to help HVAC contractors rank higher on Google. They use an attack methodology to make sure that contractors dominate their local service areas and increase their market share and generate higher revenue. Reach out to Local at localhq.com/reliable. Mention me or the Reliable HVACR podcast, and you'll get 2 months of SEO for free. How hectic does it get there? Because like you work for somebody. Is it a big company, small company?
Yeah, so I work for Rostrum Premium Home Services out of Wall, New Jersey. It's Monmouth County, Central Jersey, I'll call it. So we service Monmouth and Ocean County, and so I do mainly. Well, I'll tell you what I do. I'm a lead installer for we do residential HVAC, and then a couple years ago we actually just expanded, so we do electrical and plumbing as well now. So that's been super interesting. Kind of starting with the company when it was solely an HVAC company, and then watching it rebrand and being a part
Yeah.
of that as well. So it's definitely been crazy to say the least. And our summers are pretty wild. A lot of 6-day weeks and doing installs every Saturdays for a few months at a time in the summer. But that's what you do. You work hard in the summer and enjoy the winters a little bit more.
Are you strictly install then? Do you do any service?
Yeah. I mean, I'll go on some service calls here and there too, but we have a full blown service team as well. But the way how our installs go, if we do an install and then we're kind of married to that install for the first year or so. So if
Yeah.
anything happens within that year, we're going back and adjusting it.
Oh, so you'll be the ones going
But
back.
yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
that's kind of like the culture that we instill with the company. Like installers aren't just installers.
Okay.
Installers are service techs as well. So they
Yeah,
have a
because
lot of
I
high expectations for installers too.
I can't tell you how many times the install team will go out and install something. It doesn't work a few days later, a month later, whatever it is, and the service guy, a completely different person or team, has to go out there and
Yeah.
fix it. And it's like, well, why did they do it this way? Why did they do this? And there's a whole like conflict there. I
Yeah,
think I think
it's
it's
strange.
cool and better when it's like the actual people that installed it that can also go back
Yeah,
if there's any issues or anything.
I know. And I've even heard companies, they'll have their install team go install it and then they'll have a service guy go over there and commission it. So it's like,
Really?
yeah, I've heard, different companies that do that. A lot actually operate that
Oh
way and
yeah,
kind of
that's
have,
true. Yeah, that's true. It's
which
weird
is
because
strange, which is cool though. I like how we're set up. Everybody's definitely, at the level to be a very good service tech as well. It's just, we're doing installs. I love installs. I love, doing installs. I love doing good work and all that, transforming rooms and condensing units and making things look nice for the customers. I
yeah,
love installs, so at least while I'm young, that is.
yeah, man, you get to see obviously the before and after the whole process going through it and running your line sets, your all that stuff. I know you got all that fancy NAVAC equipment to help you out.
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah, the install tools I love. I just love every facet of an installation. I love the tools. I love doing the installs. I love commissioning them, taking statics, gas pressures, all those readings. Like we have a booklet that we get with every installation, and we have to fill out everything. So we're taking static pressures, we're taking gas pressures.
Okay.
This is all in the commissioning process. For the most part, we install Daikin fits, so they're similar, mini splits. So you just weigh in and go from there with the inverters. But we're still taking, putting it in charge mode, getting it subcooled, and all that, all those measurements. So
That was gonna be my
it's a
next.
pretty lengthy process for commissioning. You could be done with an install at like 3:00 and think you're in good shape, but you're not getting out of there till 6 just because you're doing all these tests.
Okay, I was gonna ask about the length of that, but like I was also gonna say like I hope. Well, some people do the whole checklist thing, and some people don't. You go out there
Mhm.
and like you said, your gas might not be set right or anything like that, and it causes all these headaches like months later, especially when the
Yeah.
seasons change and stuff like that.
And it covers our ass too, So if something does happen along the lines, like, well, I did my checklist, I did what I had to do. So if something comes up, it's normally, something out of the ordinary. It's not really the installation fault. You know what I mean?
No, because callbacks are the worst, and they're gonna blame you for everything. So you got to make sure you
Exactly.
do your either a checklist or whatever it is, and make sure you got that
Yep.
running. Because like even myself, like if I have maintenance right now, because it's getting cool, or for us it's cool. It's like 75 out, to where it doesn't like when it gets cold. We don't run our ACs as much, but like I still will run it to make sure after a maintenance, do all our checks, make sure the heaters are working, all that stuff, just in case. Because then, like,
Mhm.
a month later, they might call you like, "Hey, you were just out here, and now it's not working." Oh, I'm
What
sorry,
was
but
that?
how long have you been at that company? Is that the first company you've been at, or have you been?
Yeah, so it's the first company I've been with. So I started doing this a little over 4 years ago. Similar to Nate, I actually watched your podcast
I was
with
gonna say
Nate.
there's
So he
there's so
started
many
around COVID.
people that are in that 3 to 4 year range, and I'm like, really? Because I would have sworn you guys have been doing it twice as long.
Yeah, yeah. No, so I started like right after COVID. I was actually still in college during COVID, so I started some like right after COVID. I just
How
got out
was
of my apprenticeship program.
were you okay in college? That was the COVID year.
Yeah, I was still finishing up college.
So how was that? Did you guys because some people here, at least on the trade school part, they were doing it remote. How was your college during that whole experience?
Yeah, it went it went remote, and yeah, I did pretty well with online courses. It's pretty easy to do well in college when it's online and taking classes and tests online. So I probably had my highest GPA in my final semester from that.
But was that trade college or was that something else?
No, that was regular school. So
Okay.
I guess I'll just tell you how I started. So and I'm sure this will help anybody who's listening.
I also want to thank DIVERSITECH. They simplify your work. They have everything a contractor needs to complete a job. That goes from equipment mounting, condensate, management, tools, maintenance chemicals, electrical components, indoor air quality, and much more. They have different branches under the same umbrella. More than likely, you're already using some of their products or tools. So go check out diversitech.com, and it's your one-stop shop for everything HVAC.
So I went to school. I was playing hockey. So hockey was my life for all of my life, really. I didn't really have a childhood or high school life other than hockey. So hockey's all I cared about. Um, I went the NCAA route, played college hockey. Um, but I realized, at that point, I was more so delaying the inevitable of my hockey career, right? So I wanted to continue playing hockey, and the next step was going to college. So that's what everybody was doing. My teammates, everybody's committing, going to schools, playing hockey. So that's just what I had to do because that's all I was. I was a hockey player. I didn't know anything else. So I went to school with a major in business administration, which is fine. It's a big umbrella
Yeah,
major to have. You could do a lot with a business major. So
a
I'm
lot of
happy I went there for that.
a lot of my buddies went for that, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to go for. That's like the
Yeah.
popular one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the one that you really can't go wrong with, which I'm still happy I have a degree in. It's
Sure.
definitely doesn't hurt me, that's for sure. But yeah, I just something about college, like I loved the process of going to class and doing my work and stuff like that. I'm very, type A, so I didn't have a problem at all with college itself. It's just more so the culture of it. And then I don't know. It was just I was really in my head a lot of like, what am I going to do after this though? What am I going to do really? And I didn't know if it was the school I was at or what, but I was looking at other schools, like maybe recommitting and going somewhere else for hockey but then I ultimately just decided, you know what, like if I'm just doing this just to play hockey and I'm not going to school for truly what it is, I'm going to end up graduating with not a clue what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I'll be in trouble. So I'm thankful that I figured that out early.
Yeah, I was gonna say not
So
a
then,
lot, not a lot of people do. So like, did you go to school there in New Jersey or did you move out somewhere?
that was a school in Maryland. It was a very small private school in Maryland
Okay.
that I was at, only for a semester. And then I went back, and then hockey's kind of strange. You have to play junior hockey and all this. I don't need to get into that, but you don't go to college until you're like a 21-year-old for
Oh,
NCAA for the
okay.
most part. So you're old to begin with. So I didn't go to college until I was 20. I was playing junior hockey full time after high school until then. But hockey's weird. I don't need to get into it. And
So did you took a break from
yeah,
school?
yeah. So after high school, I was playing full time hockey. Hockey was my only thing I was focused on. I was playing full time junior hockey. It was every
Like
single day. I was traveling every weekend.
getting paid and everything?
I
Or
wasn't
how does
getting
that
paid,
work?
but I didn't pay. I've
Oh,
been
okay.
paid to play, but I wasn't getting paid. But it was a high level. Junior hockey is a higher level. You either go, the college route, or you can go professional from there. And so obviously, I went the college route. And yeah, again, I was just kind of delaying the inevitable. I was like,
Well,
all right,
that
next step's college. Let's go.
yeah, that's interesting because I mean, we don't have hockey down here, like really, right? Not the same. But I was into basketball, so my whole thing for me, because like my mom would ask me, like, "What are you gonna do later?" Right? And you know, bless her because she was always looking out for my future. But I'm like, no, I'm gonna be a basketball player. Like that's it. Like I
Yeah.
was in it since I was little. Like I used to watch, Michael Jordan. I got into everything. And that's what I'm like paying attention with my kid, right? Because like he turned 11 now, and I was like, man, by the time I was like fourth grade or so, like I was super into sports, like basketball, playing with my friends, going out every day, to parks and different things. And like I was like, I want to get on a team. I want to get on a team, and I finally got into one. And then I was just like focused, super focused on that, like through middle school, high school, to where I was like, this is all, like you said, this is all I know. This is what I want to do. I don't know anything else. I
Yeah.
don't want to do anything else. And it took me an injury to be like, okay, I can't do this anymore. So I was like,
Mhm.
I need a career, right? So
Yeah.
I tore up my knee. I tore my ACL and stuff, and I was like, okay, I can't. Like I didn't have a good surgery. I didn't have good like my mobility is still not there. So I was like,
Hmm.
I can't even do this. That's what got
Yeah.
me to think about it, and my parents too. But at least you realized it before you got to that
Yeah.
point.
Like I realized it while I was still in there. I was like, I got to get out of here. This isn't what I need to do. So yeah. So then I did finish. I ended up doing, online at my community college. I'm like, at least I want to finish what I started. And yeah, so I got my associates in business. And after that, though, that's when I was, really panicking almost. It was a very dark point in my life. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I was like 22 years old, and I was like, I had no direction. I was like, it was horrible. It's a horrible, like I had almost, like an identity crisis. It was like an identity
Yeah.
crisis at a young age. It's like, who am I? What am I? Like how, like
Like
I know I
what's
have
your
something in me, but I
yeah,
didn't know
like
where to
what's
point it.
your place in life? What is like what can you do? Um
Yeah, and it was really tough for me. It was hard. It's just like I know what my potential and what I could become, but I didn't know where to put it.
yeah.
It was hard.
And today's episode is also brought to you by GREE Comfort. I have heard nothing but high regards for GREE themselves. GREE offers not only just ductless mini splits that you might know them for, whether it's single zone or multi zone. GREE has the GREE Flex and the Multi Pro for whole home and building cooling, so you guys can actually get systems, you know, for your house and stuff like that. They always have updated system documentation and live video trainings for contractors. They help you with your installations and make it as seamless as possible. You can follow them on Instagram and YouTube at GREE Comfort, and you'll get access to all their educational video content. I'll leave that linked below. Okay, so then you got your degree and all that. Did you try to get a job with that, or what were you trying to do after that?
No, I knew I wouldn't. I knew I wouldn't want to. So I immediately went into construction. I was almost like a laborer for construction, just jumping from sites to sites. I had a little pickup truck and a trailer, and I'll tell you, those job sites were the cleanest sites you'd ever see. I kept them neat. So, anything I did, I was like, all right, I'm going to be the best at it. I'm going to keep it nice. Like I had like the lowest job I had at this construction company, but every site I was at, like everybody loved me there because I kept it so tight and so clean. It was
I can
the cleanest
tell.
new construction sites you'll see.
I believe it because I've seen your van.
Yeah. So I've always had that personality. No matter what I did, it was going to be top notch. So I did construction. So I got my foot in the door that way. It didn't work out. The company actually eventually, got rid of that branch. So then I was struggling. And the way I found the HVAC company is actually my dad's friend from boating and all that. My dad, he's a marine engineer. So he does more high-end dinner boat cruises and yachts. He basically takes care of everything that's below deck, the engines, panels.
Did you ever go
building a?
Did you ever go work with him?
Huh? Yeah, I still do. I do engine alignments with him and stuff like that. Still, he has his own LLC, but he also works for a bigger company that he's on the national team for. So he's one of the high-end marine engineers for them. But he builds panels, build controls, bow thrusters, VFDs, like all these crazy, insane custom panels. He's building one as we speak in the basement. And so he's friends with a guy who owns an HVAC company. And at that point in my life, I'm like, you know what? This man put so much time and effort into my life and my hockey career. Like, I'm at the point where like I'll just do anything he tells me to do. I'll do anything he says. If he wants me to do it, I'll do it. And so that's what I did. So, and at the time it was funny, it was a super high reputable HVAC company. So I was extremely nervous going into it, not knowing a thing, and how the guys will treat me, or how efficient I could really be, not knowing anything. I don't want to be a a nuisance there,
Yeah.
or cause problems or be inefficient while I'm there. So I was super nervous when I started, and they gave me an opportunity, and forever to this day, I'm still just so grateful to have a job and be at a company that I love. And I'm just super, super grateful how everything turned out.
And you weren't interested in helping your dad with the engines and boats and all that?
It's funny. Everybody thinks that I would be like totally into the boats and all that, but the whole time I was playing hockey. So like everybody's like, "What do you mean you don't go on boats? You don't know anything about boats?" I'm like, "Dude, I've been in a rink this whole time." And, but he's in the city. He travels all the time. And, he's always traveling. He's always going somewhere. So I always knew I was, wanted to do something around home and something, of that nature. So that's what I did. And he said, because I didn't know what I do. He's like, "We'll do HVAC. It's the best. It's the best trade you could do." I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Okay." And I think it is.
Okay. So he had that opinion about HVAC as well, like to go do that.
Yeah, he does it. He does HVAC as well on the boats too. So it's funny, they do all Daikin VRV condensing units on the boats and all that. So he's designing that and setting it all up as well. So he knows a lot about HVAC too.
Oh, so he does that for because like I've never been on a I right now thinking about it because I was talking to somebody else and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go on a cruise." I'm like, "I've never been on one. I've never thought about the whole like HVAC side of like the boats and stuff."
Yeah. So he does everything having to do with the boat mechanically. He's in charge of. So yeah, HVAC as well, everything.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty funny. Yeah, it's funny. So my first day, I'm going into work. I didn't have any tools. He's like, "Oh, you could just take my bag and just borrow one of my bags for the day." Meanwhile, I get my tool junkiness from him.
Oh,
so little did I know, I'm walking in my first day, green as can be, with a VETO Tech Pack, the OG, loaded with WEHA and Wera tools,
Oh,
completely green, not knowing a clue what I'm doing. I'm pulling up with a VETO backpack full of WeHa tools, like the nicest tools you have. They're just my dad's. I'm borrowing for the time being. And I'm sure all the other guys looking at me like, who the hell is this kid? Where'd he get these tools from?
I know, right?
So it's pretty funny.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, so he's a tool junkie too. So we're it's funny. We we had our relationship over hockey and everything, traveling together and driving me to tournaments, and it's amazing how life goes full circle, and now we have this to relate to, tools and HVAC and electric and stuff like that. We're always talking about. It's great.
Yeah, it's funny. Was your dad into sports as well? Did he play hockey or anything?
No, he never played hockey, but it's
Okay.
just I got into it and he
Then
was
he
all
got
in.
he got into it. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
it's kind of like what I had with my dad. So I have two brothers, right? So like I was the one most like him, I guess. I used to watch like NBA with him, and we still kind of talk about like our teams and stuff. So I mean, I don't know, maybe that's why I got into basketball and all that, and then I got super passionate about it. And then he was an electrician. I remember like all the weird hours he would work, and working at the
Hmm.
hospital, graveyard shift, all that kind of stuff. And then he got into food service, started his own company, and then like I came along, right? So like I've done a lot of the same stuff that he's done, and we kind of
Yeah.
I'm happy that we get along and everything. Like we're not at each other's throats or anything. My little brother that works with us, he's the one that we kind of conflict with sometimes, because he's very like OCD about things, and we're like, oh, just get it done. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I've been the one that's most like him, as far as like hobbies and all that, and it's been cool because like before, like I said, growing up watching sports with him, different things, and then now getting to work for him or work with him, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're like minded because we both like he's real passionate about work. It has to be done the right way, a certain way, and all of
Hmm.
my work ethic has been from him and how I um, kind of like do things. Like I research, I do a lot of this stuff because I would see him do that. If he didn't know something, he was going to figure it out and find the answer. So I've always had that mentality, and I got it from him,
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
and it's
Yeah,
really
same
cool.
here. Yep. Yeah, he's definitely a huge influence on my HVAC career as well. It's funny. I'm on the phone with him like all the time throughout the day. He's like my 24/7 tech support. I could just call. I could call him about anything that I'm doing, in a residential aspect, and he knows everything. So I know I could just call him instead of bothering somebody else. I can call my dad. He's always going to pick up and
Yeah,
and he helps me with a lot of things.
my dad doesn't do HVAC, but I will call him when I have like an electrical problem or something where I can't wrap my head around something. I'm
Yep.
like, "Hey, look, I need you to explain this to me because I don't know what the hell's going on." And even if he doesn't know the equipment, he can usually walk me through something, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it was. And I'm not a phone person. Like really, I don't like to be on the phone too much. So it's funny
Hmm.
because like I'll go visit them. Like they live close enough to where I can go over pretty often. But it's funny because like working for my dad, um, I have his obviously I have his ringtone on because like if it's usually for work.
Yeah.
But I hate hearing his ringtone because it's usually that I got to go out to a call like in the middle of the night or whatever it is. So I actually don't like
Yep.
for him to call me. I have that oh
Oh, that's
man
funny.
like moment like oh man what does
Yeah.
he want?
Here we go.
So you were really into hockey, really into sports. Did that are you kind of putting that energy into like HVAC and your work stuff? Like are you passionate or as passionate as you were, in hockey as you are in HVAC as you were in hockey?
Oh yeah, 100%. There's so many things that I could take from, playing a high level sport that I could, put into work life. Everything. It's communication, being a team member, being a leader, things like that, things of that nature. There's so much that you could just take from, life lessons from playing a high level sport. And no, but I definitely take HVAC way more serious than I ever took hockey. Like looking back at hockey, I'm like, I could have gone far. I
Oh,
just wasn't
dude,
disciplined.
I'm the
I
same way.
wasn't disciplined at all. Like people ask, like, "Oh, why didn't you go and end up playing pro?" Like I could have. I could have played anywhere I wanted, but I just was not disciplined at all. And now that I'm older and I'm more mature, I look at life differently. I'm 100 100% more disciplined when it comes to what I do now than how I handled it back then, for sure.
I am the same way. I think I've mentioned this a few times, but like that whole basketball thing, I felt like I was pretty good, right? And I knew what I was good at, what I wasn't good at. I'm very like self-aware of things. I wasn't the tallest kid. That was the only issue, was there was a lot of tall kids in my area. So it was like, tall, you can't teach tall, like being tall. That's a gift in itself. Um, but I was the same way. I wasn't disciplined. I didn't take it seriously. I always look back and I'm like, man, if I had just been put in a little bit of effort or really wanted that, I could have gotten it. I could have gone a little more further with it, like you said. Um, I couldn't do it. I didn't like taking direction. I was like, I was a team
Yeah.
player. I was all that. Like I was game. But like if I wasn't getting the playing time or wasn't getting whatever I didn't want, like I was like, why am I here? Right? I didn't take it serious. So I was like,
Yeah.
nah, I'm good. And then like the 5 a.m. practices and all that kind of stuff, I was like, nah, why am I here? Why am I doing this? I was not disciplined whatsoever. So I'm very competitive. That helped me out in my HVAC career, right? Like I want to be the
Hmm.
best. I want to make sure I don't want to look dumb. I want to make sure I know everything that I need to know. So I'm researching after work. All of that came over from the sport thing. But like at this point, this is my career. I don't want to give up on it. I don't want to not take it serious. I don't want to be, um, like, I don't want to be any of these lazy techs out there. Like, I want to be different. So I didn't take basketball serious, but I took HVAC serious, and that all the extra effort you put into it,
Yeah.
that's what's going to make you better.
When I first started HVAC, I kind of treated it like I'm a rookie. You know what I mean? I knew my role. I wanted to do my role the best I can. When I first showed up to the company, I'm like, all right, well, how could I immediately be an asset to this company, not knowing a single thing about HVAC? And that's simply showing up every single day with a great attitude and a willingness to learn, an open mind, and just work hard. That's all you have to do. That's all you're expected to do when you first start. So I kind of treated it like I am a rookie. It's like that crawl space is mine. That's my land. You don't go down there. You don't need to. That's why I'm here. You know what I mean? Or don't drop that broom. That's for me. That's my broomstick. Like
Yeah.
that's how I treated it when I first started. And that's a lot of things that guys kind of struggle with probably is starting. Swallowing that pride and that ego and just being a team player and just trying to be efficient in the ways that you can be at the time. And
Yeah.
I just think that's what a lot of guys struggle with,
Some guys get
for
so
sure.
frustrated with that. And I'm like, you start at the bottom. Like there's no way around it.
Yeah.
It's what you can do in those first few years to get there.
Yeah. Like I like wanted this job so bad. Like I would have worked for free for the first summer. I didn't
Oh,
even care. I just
I
wanted to
took a
get
pay
in
cut
there.
to do this. I made more money
Yeah.
at a grocery store than when I started here.
Oh, I did too. I made more money at Whole Foods before I
Yeah.
started. I did. But I would have done it for free. I just wanted to get in there and work. I'm like, just trust me. Just give me an opportunity and like I won't give up. And I will be productive. I just wanted it so bad. And yeah, but that's I think the problem with like today's day and age, it's like instant. Everybody wants instant gratification. Everybody's so entitled to having what they want, and nobody's really used to just working for it and earning every single cent you make. You know what I mean? Like a lot of new guys, they come in and they have all these expectations. It's like, what are you expecting? You don't know anything. I have to teach you how to use a drill.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like how like
that was me too.
like you know what I mean? Like what do you like? So what do you think? You have to like at the same time you have to swallow your pride and just know your worth and just grind. You have to grind. That first year is terrible. It's horrible. My first summer was horrible,
Yeah, because
but I never complained.
I didn't have it easy when I started either. Like I took a pay cut. I made more at the Sam's Club than I did working for my dad, even though it was his company.
Yeah.
And I got like a little pay bump a couple years later. Like I was making like probably less than $500 a week. I was like, I didn't
Hmm.
have much. I made my dollar stretch as much as I could. Like I was comfortable, I guess. And I was like, eventually I'm gonna get paid what I should get paid. And then now I'm like, I'm super comfortable. I can do whatever I want. I've bought a house, I
Yeah.
bought cars, like it all comes. It's just not that first year.
Yeah, you just have to earn it, which I love though. And it's such an honest trade. Like if you don't know anything, you can't get away with it either. You're so easily exposed. You know what I mean? Like if you come totally green, like it's so obvious that you're totally green, which I love. It happened to me. I love it. Like you have to really work for every single step, and that's what I love. The accountability of the trade is just, I love it. I mean, the best option for somebody new is to just go in and just be front up with them and honest and be like, listen, I don't know anything, but I'm willing to learn and I'm going to work my ass off for you, and I'll never complain about anything. And that's all I could offer. And then for me, when I get new guys or apprentices too, if I could see that they're really putting in the effort and they want to be there, that ultimately makes me want to put more effort into them. If they're actually going to absorb the information that I'm giving them and do something productive with it, so it's only going to make me want to put more effort into them. So that's kind of what happened with me and all the the leads that I was with when I first started. They could see that I was truly interested in what I was doing, and I'm all in. So they definitely put the time in to teach me, for sure.
How long did it take you to kind of pick up on that? Because like you didn't have any trade school whatsoever. You learned everything on the job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I first started, my first summer, I went right into it, and then come the fall, that's when I started trade school.
Did you start in the
So
summer?
that first, yeah, I got thrown in the summer, in the spring. I just immediately started. My first season was the summer,
Dang.
and it was just me and one other lead. So like me holding him back, him having to teach me, I felt horrible. Looking back at it now, it's like, oh my God, it's brutal. I would hate to work with a complete green guy in the summer, me and him
Yep.
alone, doing a full swap out, AC and furnace and coil in the attic, and him having to crawl from the attic outside doing it all. And I'm just sitting there, trying to watch and just be efficient as I could be. But, that's what ultimately, forced me to do a lot of research on my own, a lot of homework myself. And, I got to get better than this. I got to get better. I got to get better. I got to know more. I got to be, better for this guy, like I felt guilty at first almost, but it was tough. That first summer was, it was brutal.
That didn't scare you away? The summer, the hectic and
It
all the
almost did.
yeah.
It almost did. I got to be honest with you. There was times where I'm like, I can't do this. I don't know. I can't. Like, I'm not being helpful. Like, this is taking us. Like, I'm working like 70-hour weeks because these installs are taking so long because it's basically one guy by himself, and I'm like helping, but I'm not helping as best as I could.
How long do you think it took you to kind of grasp kind of actually doing work and not being the helper?
I would say after the first year, I really, because again, like I was from the start, I became obsessed with it. It was all I did. Like my face, I would come home and then my face would just be in my computer screen, just researching and watching videos and just being obsessed with it. So uh, I learned pretty quick, and especially living with my dad in the first half of my career. Going home and like asking him questions and him teaching me stuff at home too. So I had just so many resources too, so many people to ask questions. So probably within like a year, it really started clicking. Like I had my mojo. I was getting more tools, and I had my own little tiny transit I drove around. I was still a helper, but I had my own little tiny transit. And of course, I had that thing like totally pimped out with my little pack outs and my little Vitos and all in this tiny little transit. And then eventually, like, all right, this guy's truck is like too nice. Let's put him in a bigger one. So then
Yeah.
I got in the bigger one, and I got more tools, and I ultimately just became bigger from then on. And yeah, so I'm 4 years total. I've probably been leading my own jobs for maybe 2 years.
How many veto bags you got now? Have you counted them?
So I'm big in, so when I first started, I had the OG Tech Pack, which everybody was chirping me saying how heavy it's going to be and stuff. I'm like, nah, it's fine, whatever. But no, that bag got heavy real quick.
Yeah, they do.
And I'm big into having specific job style bags.
Yeah.
So I have my MCT, my Tech MCT for inside. So that's set up for a furnace, coil installation, and stuff like that. And then I have the MC, which is just a condenser bag. So I can have a bag outside and a bag inside. So I got two completely separate loaded out bags for both inside and outside. And then I have those other little part bags too, like the clear part bags, and then
Oh yeah.
the tool pouches, what is it, the C something 140 and the 100.
My dad's getting into the Milwaukee stuff now because he's like, hey, you got anything for this or that? I was like, yeah, because when I moved over to the Transit, I had to take some stuff out because it didn't fit right. And then I went to buy a couple of the Tough Built crates because they're a little bit bigger. So I put those in the back, and I was like, oh, I got some extra. I had like the extra, the one with the wheels and like some extra pack outs and stuff. And now I gave him those, and now he's like, I want more, and he's starting to get more into it, and he's falling in love with it because he's never been a pack out person.
Yeah. That's
But
why I'm trying to get my dad into pack outs. He's not. He's a Pelican box guy.
oh
So he's
really?
got all his VETO bags in his Pelican box, and he'll go take it with him there. He flies a lot though, so
Oh
it
okay,
makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
but I took his tech pack and I treated him with an MCT. So I got him that for Christmas a couple years ago. So that's what he's rocking right now.
so you have you been working on R32?
Yeah, so I installed the first R32 system in New Jersey, which was definitely a spectacle to say the least.
Was it
So
like a
right now,
headline and everything?
yes, yeah. So it was like a whole full blown article and stuff. It was through Daikin. So I was the first in New Jersey. At the time, it was just single head, mini splits, ductless. That's all it was. So obviously, I was told that I'm going to do it, and that was probably maybe 2 years ago. Now it's actually pretty decent amount of time ago. Yeah, so I was like nervous. I was like, oh geez, here we go. Like there's going to be people watching or whatever. So then I'm going and do the install, and there was guys from Daikin, and my owner was there, and there's a whole bunch of people there in the morning. So I'm like,
Oh, they made a
all
whole
right, maybe
thing
they're
about it. They
yeah, I'm
made a
like maybe
whole.
they're just gonna swing by in the morning and then just check it out, and then they're gonna come by at the end when it's on. Maybe like I don't know, like hopefully, but no, they stayed the they stayed the whole day just watching me outside with the condenser and everything. I'm like, oh god, it felt like it was like a golf match, and they're like, oh, now he's about to put it on nitrogen. He's setting up his vacuum, and I could just hear
They
them
should have been
talking in
there
the
with a
background.
microphone, just like commentating.
Yeah, well, they were like interviewing me like while I was doing it. But I mean,
Oh,
at the end of the day, like I love that. Like I was all for it. I love that.
oh, so they were
So I had fun.
asking you stuff as you were doing it.
Yeah. So they came out with Daikin Abco came out with a whole article online about it and stuff like that with our picture and everything. So it was really cool. But as far as installation practices, nothing changed at all, especially for a mini split. The flares aren't different. The flares are the same. Everything's the same. Same vacuum pump, obviously. Same gauges. Your S-mans have 32 in them. It's not anything out of the ordinary. I know these condensing units are good for 98 feet for those single heads. So 9 times out of 10, I'm not adding an additional charge anyway. So I'm not even touching a
Oh
tank.
yeah.
I'm just opening the valves, especially for that install. That install was really, really easy. But yeah, it was funny. I was like totally into it. Like I was like calling the one girl over. I'm like, you see this? Like, look at this flare tool. Look at this NAVEC flare tool. Have you seen this before from the other installs from the other states? She's like, no, I haven't seen that. That's really cool too. I'm like, yeah, this is sick. I'm like, watch me pull this vacuum. I'm like, watch how fast I'm going to pull this vacuum. Everybody's like, oh. Like I just had a time with it. Like I enjoyed it a little too much,
Yeah.
And but yeah, when I was pulling a vacuum, I'm like, oh man, please pull a good vacuum in front of like
Oh, I
these
know.
12 people,
Imagine
please.
if something goes haywire.
Yeah, that's what I was worried. Or there's a leak or something. I'm like, please pull a good vacuum because it's funny. The a couple weeks prior, they're in Virginia doing the same thing. The first install in Virginia, and then a week later, it all leaked out.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Did
and
they?
they didn't have access to the tanks yet at the time. It was so early, so they weren't even able to like fix it at the time.
They didn't have the
They didn't
refrigerant
have the
tanks.
cylinders. No,
Oh,
no. So I guess the whole factory charge that he just opened up leaked out and stuff. I mean, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus or anything, but yeah, it was pretty funny, hearing that from them and stuff. I'm like, oh, geez. So they're like, yeah, so we're really, depending on you to get this install right, and we can actually put this out there and write about it. I'm like, all right, well that
oh. So
makes it better
they
for me.
tried it. They tried to write about the other one. Did that one not come
Yeah,
out
but it just
because?
didn't work out because it
Yeah,
leaked, and I guess not a happy customer. So.
yeah. Especially if they can't fix it. That's kind of the crazy part of that.
Well, it was scary because at first I was doing a whole bunch of 32 units. I'm like, man, we need I'm not saying my installation practices I don't trust, but like I need to get, a 32 tank in here just for a mulligan, if I have a leak.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't had a problem at all. And now it's fully in, we got 32 everywhere, so it's not a big deal. But
Do you
yeah, no,
guys? Do you
I
guys
haven't
only?
done any.
Do you guys only deal with
Huh?
Daikin? Daikin?
Yeah, we're primarily a Daikin dealer. So Daikin
Okay.
Fits are our go-to. We're actually the number one Daikin dealer in the Northeast, which is incredible because we're a pretty small, family-owned company. So that's a great thing to be, leading in
So
Daikin Fits.
you only have to worry about stocking R32 as far as like the new ones.
Yeah, yeah. All the fits are still 410A, obviously. The only 32 systems I have out there are what I did. I think
Yeah.
all the 32s that are out there in New Jersey, like primarily around here, I'm the one who did them. So they kind of just kept me with doing them.
Yeah.
So if something happens, it's just me and I handle it. But all we've done are just single head mini splits right now. I believe Goodman might be out because Daikin owns Goodman. So I've been seeing some guys posting Goodman air handlers and more conventional systems with the 32, but we haven't gotten our hands on anything duct related.
Because everybody's arguing about 454 versus R32, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I know the different manufacturers. Some are going to go with the 454, like Bosch. We do Bosch as well. So we're
Okay.
primarily, if it's not a Daikin Fit, it's probably going to be a Bosch, which I love Bosches too. But I believe, I'm positive the Bosches are going to go down the 454B route,
Oh,
and
so
then the
you will
Daikin's
have to
going to be
carry
at
both.
R32. Yeah, we will. Yep. Yep.
I'm
It's,
not.
it is what it is. There's nothing we could do about it.
Nah, I'm not too happy though, because I do everything where I'm carrying like 404, 130. I still got 134
Yeah,
that
you
I have to
you have a
carry.
lot. Yeah.
So
Me,
I'm
I'm
like,
not carrying around 32. I'm doing installs, so I'm not carrying around 22 anymore. It's just I got 410A for installs, and
yeah.
yeah, now 32. But it's not too bad for me for installs, but service, I'm sure it's going to be a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, it's gotten to a point where I don't carry all the tanks anymore. I just carry the common ones, and if I need something for a certain job, like if I know ahead of time, I will go to the either my
Yeah,
like
and
my
grab one.
little shop here and pick up and change out what I need. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's getting a little crazy with the different flavors there.
I'm excited for it though, and I think like people are, especially the tool manufacturers. They're using this as a marketing ploy. They're like,
Oh
"Oh, this is
man,
A2L compatible, A2L compatible." It's like everything already is A2L compatible. It's not a big deal. You're freaking everybody out.
like you said, everything has already been A2L compatible. There's not
Yeah.
really much that changes. Um,
No.
Especially if you have like Field Piece and Navac and kind of the main brands. Those have been A2L compatible for the longest time.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. Like
It's
Navac's
not,
gonna. I love Navac too, but Navac's gonna come out. They're gonna have like A12 compatible on their like flare gun now.
I was gonna
They're just putting
say
it on everything they make now.
no, I was gonna say some hand tools have the stupid A2L compatible sticker, and I'm like, this doesn't need that.
Yeah, it's
Or your
crazy. Yeah, obviously,
core removal tools. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff that has A2L compatible. Like that doesn't matter.
yeah, no, and everybody's was in such a panic about it, but yeah, the installation was so smooth, and there's no difference at all. Nothing changes whatsoever at all. If anything, you're going to get slightly higher pressures, and that's about it. But I mean, what's the big deal with that? I don't know.
No, we our biggest jump was R22 to 410 when you had to deal with the
Yeah, that
pressure.
was the biggest difference. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
very
no,
some like 32 is so similar to 410A. It's not. It's really nothing. Like
no.
32 isn't 410A.
I know people don't realize that.
And I'm lucky. It's funny. Like my first summer, it's like flowy nitrogen. Like everybody, like that was like we're very to the book. Read the manual. Flow nitrogen. Like very intense the way that their operating procedures there at work. And then I go to school, my first year of school, and the teacher's like, "Who purges nitrogen?" And nobody's like, "What does that even? What does that mean?"
Yeah.
you know. And like for me, it's like that's all I know because it's the only company I've ever worked for. So I only know the right way of doing things. I
So
mean,
you
there's no
did
right and wrong way of doing things, but the preferred way of doing things.
the better way where you don't get callbacks.
yeah.
That's the way.
Yeah.
So you went to school while you were working?
Yeah. So here in New Jersey, so what I did is they have the apprenticeship program, which
Mm,
is you do your school at night and you have to have a sponsor where you have to be working for a company in order to get into this adult program for apprenticeship, which is a night course, which is like basically the same time as regular school semester. You have your first semester and second semester, and it's at night. It's like a few days a week for 3 hours a night. Um, so then, in order to eventually, if you wanted to get your HVAC license, you need 4 years completed. You need to graduate from that program, and then 5 years in the field and then you could sit for your test. So I just finished my 4 years in the program. So now I'm starting my 5th year in the field. So then in about a year, I'll be able to sit for my test, which I'm kind of dreading. I heard that test is really hard now. New Jersey finally got on the ball with having accountability in the HVAC industry, so which is good. I'm happy about it. It's actually proves that you know something if you pass this test, not just
Yeah.
getting grandfathered in and just plumbers walking around with a HVAC license. So no, but this test is going to be hard. So that's I got to start studying for that. And HVAC is such a as HVACR. That's what the test is. It's such a broad industry
Yeah.
as opposed to, don't get me wrong, I may be biased talking about it, but plumbing and electrical, it's more, in one direction. But HVAC, you're going from like gas to ventilation to combustion to duct sizing to refrigeration, like all that's in one test.
And
So for me to
there's
have,
like business stuff in it too, at least the one I took.
yeah, and business, yep, and there's business. So for me, that I'll primarily be in residential my whole life. I already have an idea that I will be. But I need to take this massive test that covers,
Everything.
the other 75% of the industry that I have to pass in order to even do business in residential.
Yeah.
Like they should have different
Yeah.
sections of tests that you could take.
Yeah, it's so weird though. Even here in Texas, the way they have it set up, I didn't like it, but it is what it is, right? I mean, that's how you get it. That's what's in place. But like, I can't tell you like probably 75% of the stuff on the test I don't remember. I probably don't use in my own day-to-day world. And I'm the same way. I specifically do this small light commercial kitchen refrigeration. Like that's not what the test was on. It was a lot of AC stuff
Mm-hmm.
that I'll never use and all
Yeah,
that. So like
exactly.
it's like, what can you do?
Yeah. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe down the road at some point they'll actually split that off and have them in different categories, but we'll see.
I mean,
Be
sometimes it's
nice.
good if you want to get like a broader license, but some people like, I don't know, myself, like you said, you like what you do, you want to do that. Like myself, I knew I was only going to do kitchen stuff. That's why I only got my class B license, because I was like, I'm never going to do anything over 25 tons. I'm not getting into chiller work. I have no desire to do any of that. I want to do what I'm good at. And it's what basically what me and my dad do is kitchen stuff. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
perfectly fine
exactly.
because we make enough money here. I don't need to take on any big projects or anything else. Like I want to do this. So we went over your tool obsession a little bit. You have quite a bit in your. Is it a van that you have? I forgot.
Yeah, it's the box truck. So it's like the
Yeah.
F-350, big box truck. So I have like the little side uh, cabinets on the exteriors too.
My dad
So
used
it's
to
like
get
a
after
classic
me.
install.
Yeah, my dad used to get after me because I was because I didn't take it serious when I started. It took me a while. That's why I'm so like. It's really cool to see yourself, and like you brought up Nate, all these other ones that I've had on a lot this year, in their first less than 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're already like focused and dialed in and all that. Like I wasn't like that. I'll be honest. And speaking of vans, I was that tech that just threw everything in there. It took me a little more than 5 years for it to click, and I was like really into it. I loved what I did, and the satisfaction of fixing things, right, that other people couldn't fix. Like
Yep.
that's always what got me. And then I started taking pride in my van. So now my van, I get upset with other guys that do it where they throw everything, but I'm like, everything has a place, and now it has to be put back, where it goes, so I can function, because I used to hate getting lost in my own van because I couldn't find a damn tool or part or whatever it was.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, it's funny. The guys get on. They're busting my chops about it all the time. How I keep my van and everything. I like it. I mean, sometimes it drives me crazy. Like I can't leave work knowing my van is dirty or full of trash or something. Like I need to like it needs to be handled that night. Like I like to walk in the
Yeah.
next morning with my cup of coffee and just get in and just everything's nice and neat, ready to go for me. Like I have to handle it like that night. I cannot go to sleep with my truck dirty. I can't.
I'm so mad at myself the next morning if I left a mess in the van, because then I got
Yeah,
to do it.
exactly.
Then I got to do it then.
Especially on like a Friday, you come in on a Monday, you gotta like to clear a truck out for a half hour, and it's cold in the mornings here now. It's like, I'm not doing that. I'd rather stroll in with my cup of coffee and just relax.
And I get that flashback of that manifold that I broke. I'm like, if I don't put everything away, something's gonna break, and it's gonna be an expensive repair.
And my owner's great. Shout out TR, the owner. He's awesome. So obviously they know I'm a total tool nut and stuff like that. So he always hooks me up with different tools. He knows I'm going to treat him like gold, keep him looking meticulous all the time. So it's really easy for him to, let me try out a new tool first before, he gets the rest of the guys then, like the new NAVAC recovery machine and the NAVAC, like all the NAVAC stuff. Like he actually gets for me.
Which one do you have? The NR7 or which one?
I believe it's the NR7. It's the smaller one with the it's like the box with the swivel handle. It's smaller. It's light. It's really small.
How is it?
I love it. I'm obsessed with it.
I've been eyeing that one because I have the field piece one.
I had the G5 Twin, the Appion beforehand, which was fine too. It's great. But yeah, this one's like, it's so compact, so light. I love the swivel handle. It fits in like a lot of different smaller bags and stuff like that too. And it's super quiet. I like the purge feature on it too. So you could purge out your machine and really empty the whole thing out, which is really nice too. So I like that a lot. But yeah, I love that thing. It's awesome.
And it handles 410 pretty good, because that's the only issue I have here is on the hot days. Like I don't know if
I've never overheated it yet.
I was gonna say, do you add anything to your setup? Like, do you put it in ice or do you use the subcooler or anything?
Sometimes, I mean, for residential, it's like I really am not, pulling out all these 100 pounds of refrigerant, so it doesn't overheat too bad. But when it does get real hot, like, I'll put the cylinder in like a bucket of water or ice or whatever. But I mean, very rarely I really have to do that.
Yeah, because I work in tech. I mean, I work in restaurants, and
and it's a lot hotter there too.
When it's
really not that hot here.
When it's 120 degrees out, I'll just
exactly.
I'll ask the restaurant, "Hey, I'm going to take some ice from your ice machine, and take it on the roof with me," and that usually works for me. People can find you on TikTok. Is there any particular reason you started on there? You're pretty. I think I saw you're like at 17,000 there. You have a lot of content. I've been following you for a while too. Any reason you started posting your work and your tools?
I don't know. It took me a while to originally start posting, just because I am like a very like conscious, self-conscious person, and like if I want to put something out on the internet, like it better be perfect. Like I don't want it to like zero debate. Like I just want it to be perfect. I don't want people to scrutinize me. I don't want to put the company in a bad light. You know what I mean? So it took me a while to really like get the confidence to post on there. But at first it was just fun. It was easy. It was just, I didn't really have any thought behind it. I just kind of posted what I wanted. A lot of tool stuff, just because that's what I'm into. I just love tools. So then it kind of started taking off a little bit, and then just having fun, just kind of posting what I want and posting installs, a lot of tools, a lot of truck stuff. But yeah, just every facet of this industry, I just am obsessed with the tools, the installs, the trucks, everything. I love it. So that's kind of how I started. And it's funny, when you first followed me, I was like, oh my god, reliable HVACR, that's crazy. And then Mr. What's his name? Refer guy, HVAC refer guy followed me. I'm like, what? That's wild. Like all these different accounts. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. And then it got like bigger and bigger, and just meeting so many people on there too. TikTok's awesome. I want to make the jump eventually, but right now I'm just primarily on TikTok.
TikTok has a cool community, and I always tell people that there are different platforms and there are different people. Like not everybody is on all of them. Like some people are, but like you said, you're primarily on TikTok. So there's a group there that is usually just posting there. There's a bunch of them, like Blue Collar Built.
He started the same time I started. So we've been friends since we both had like a couple hundred followers. And then he's he was so consistent with it, and he still is. Like he just took off. Yeah. We started at the same time. We and him were friends like with 0 followers each. It was crazy. And then watching his account like blow up, I was like, oh my God. His account's great too.
I talked to him recently. He'll probably be on the show soon, but I remember seeing him. I learned that little trick from him where he lifts off the condenser panels
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all that.
yeah. The bottom barrel cleaning.
Yeah, and there's I love Casey, the uh man, what is this thing? Casey, the change the condition. You know, the guy that
Oh yeah.
Buddy, the one
CC
that
KCCC. Yeah,
yeah.
he's like the TikTok OG. He's been on there for a while.
Yeah, I've always followed him. There's a bunch of them on there that are just, great at the TikTok stuff.
Yeah.
And I enjoy watching their stuff. And then there's guys on Instagram. I'm pretty sure you've seen, because you said you've watched YouTube and stuff. There's a YouTube community. It's all good.
Oh yeah.
It's really great now. Like everybody's pretty friendly with each other. There's not a lot of issues, and
There's no beefs.
it's you'd be surprised, but can talk about that off air. um, but there's a good community, and you can learn a lot. So like yourself saying, you research things afterwards. It could be a YouTube video, it could be anything, because there's a lot of resources. I always bring up HVAC school, AC service tech, and then
Yep. I'm obsessed with their podcast too.
you can learn like how to do things, and then you can go and look up any of your favorite channels like HVACR videos, all the guys that are in the field, because then you'll see it applied in real world work scenarios. So that's cool.
Yeah, actually, AC Service Tech. He's like 20 minutes south of me. That's where he's
Dude,
from.
Craig is so
And
awesome.
he's friends with he was friends with my instructor. So we had all his posters and books in our classroom and stuff, because that's where I was in Ocean County. That's where he's from. So yeah, he's big down here. It's crazy. I feel like New Jersey HVAC is like popping off in terms of social media presence and stuff like that in New Jersey. It's
Oh,
crazy. Like I
you
got
guys.
Subco's across the street from us. Subco headquarters is across the
Oh,
street.
really?
NAVAC headquarters is 20 minutes north of me. And then we got the
Just go.
boys from First Choice, obviously.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, you got Jeff and Mike over there, and Joey, HVAC Combat.
Yeah.
All those guys do amazing work. So you should just go make the rounds with Navac and Subco over there.
I know.
Just show
Subco's
up.
like right down the street from me. They're right
Well,
down the street. Yeah, NAVAC's in Shrewsbury, so they're like whatever. They're like 20 minutes away from me. So there's a lot going on in New Jersey HVAC.
Speaking of Subco, you've had some inventions, talks with them. Are you working on anything to kind of submit to them?
Yeah, so what I've told you previously is that so I had an invention. I put it in on their website. About a week later, I'm working and I get a phone call that says Sealed Units Parts Co. And I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, Sealed Units Parts Co. It didn't dawn on me that it was Subco. And then I pick up and she's like, "Hi, this is whoever from Subco." I'm like, "Oh my God, really?" And they were like super interested, this, that, the other thing. It was great. "Oh, we're gonna, contact you soon with the team, and we're gonna design this thing and get the ball rolling." I'm like, "Oh my God, like this is crazy. I'm gonna be like a new Subco inventor. This is wild." And then
Yeah.
eventually down the line, I was kind of wondering what's going on. I reached out to them. They hit me back and they said, there's a similar product out there already that kind of falls in line with this, and it's something that we can't really move forward on. But obviously, if you have anything else in the future, we'll be happy to hear it, which is fine. I'm not going to have any ill will about them or anything like that. I use plenty of Subco inventions still. So, I got some other things up my sleeve that I'll eventually send over. We'll see.
So you
I'll try again. I'll keep going. Eventually, you'll see me out there with something.
do you
try.
Do you like to tinker with stuff, or is it just like a creative thing, like you kind of coming up with these things?
Yeah, I kind of like. Well, I'll tell you. So what I had originally was a level platform. So it was like an adjustable level platform, big base for cylinders, scales, vacuum pumps, things of that nature. Especially in the residential aspect, being in a mulch pit or something like that, being in dirt, being in bushes, like having a nice steady level platform, or even on roofs if it's wet, puddly, just having a nice sturdy level base, which was cool. I have that built out also, and I sent them videos and pictures of it, and they're totally into it. It's just there was something similar enough to it on Amazon to the point where they couldn't patent it, I guess,
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I have some other things in mind. I'll have to keep under secret for now.
All right, man. So we've been
Oh
here
man.
well over an hour. I don't want to keep you too long. Is there anything you want to close out on? Especially being in this less than 5 years, like what is something that stuck with you or helped you to get to where you're at? Because you're doing pretty well for yourself early in your career.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I really did is just, when you first start, you just have to work your ass off. You just have to prove to the company that you're here and you're really willing to learn and you want to be here, and you're fully invested. Not only, it could be financially when it comes to tools and all that, but also emotionally. Like you really are paying attention and you really want to take something from this. And that's the only thing you could offer when you first start. And then, the longer you get into it, and if it's something that you truly do want to get into and become great at, it just takes a lot of discipline, a lot of research. I've had days where I'm working all day and I come home and I find myself just zoned out on my computer, just reading, and drives my wife crazy a little bit sometimes. But I just get so wrapped up, so invested. Sometimes it's good to be obsessed with what you do. That's what really makes you excel in it. And yeah, it's just you're never done learning. And I'm sure everybody says that. It's you never learned enough. You never know everything. Nobody knows everything. Not a single person in this industry knows everything about this industry. Everybody's learning something. I'm sure you still learn lessons every day about something small or something. Oh wow, I
Yeah.
didn't think about it this way or something like that. And yeah, just always staying on top, being humble. You could be prideful, but still stay humble and enough to be open minded and learn, and always just strive to be better. I know that's pretty much the generic thing people say to do, but it truly is just a mindset and just becoming a better version of yourself.
I'm big on attitude, positive. I even like tattooed it on myself. Positive vibes. Like I that has so much to do with like kind of like your success and how you, like you said, you move on from things and you learn from things. Because if you're just negative or complain all the time, you're not going to do well. It's just that goes a long way with that. And we all have hard days. We all have those bad days. I've had those too, where I'm like so upset at the end of the day. But you move
Yeah.
on. You move on. You get over it, and you go back to work. Right. Um,
Yep.
Hobbies help if you guys do anything out of work. I've been trying to get more into hobbies because I feel like I'm
I
working.
don't have any hobbies. I think my hobbies are cleaning my tools in my free time.
That's how I was too. That's how I was too. I'm trying to get with the kids. I'm like, what do you guys want to do? Want to play a video game? You want to watch a movie? What is it? Like, I'm trying to get my mind
Yeah.
off of work somehow, and
Yep.
I'm trying to get back into working out and stuff like that. I need to do something else because I work 7 days out of the week, whether it's physically in the field doing computer work, whatever it is,
Yep.
or now like editing and stuff. So I need to get my mind off of it.
Yeah, well, you do a great job at it. So it's just an absolute honor and privilege to be on this podcast, and not only be on this podcast, just be a part of this industry in general. It's just I'm just so thankful that I found something that I truly have a passion for, and I'm so grateful for it because I feel like so many kids my age are still struggling to find something that they truly love and enjoy, and I'm just so thankful for the fact that I found that.
All right, man. I appreciate you for taking the time. It was great talking to you here. I do enjoy talking to you because I've talked to you a couple times. I enjoy your videos, all that content and stuff. And I hope you're doing well in this winter. Next summer, be ready for next summer.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Congrats again on getting married and all that.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on. It took a minute to finally schedule this thing, but
That's how it
I
goes.
appreciate it. It all worked out. I'm happy.
No, that's how it goes, man. But yeah, everybody watching and listening, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, thank you.